Hi everyone. So I wanted to explore this concept in my mind that I was wondering about the concept of compromising or meeting expectations. And as humans, why do we meet expectations or why do we compromise? And the more the expectations we meet, the more we compromise. And expectations, it can be from ourselves, it can be from other people. Most of the time it's usually like by society. Most of the time it's usually friends, family, work, etc. that requires expectations to be met. And as humans, we tend to individually, because we don't want to be selfish or because we don't want to be seen as closed off or lack of emotional engagement in the society, because we don't want to seem any of that. We want to seem as a good person. We tend to meet those expectations. We tend to see that meeting those expectations is a way of seeking validation or validating us as humans individually. And slowly over a period of time, as we grow older, as we find more and more expectations leading to us as we kind of progress into life, there are stages that we go through, whether it's career, whether it's marriage, whether it's having kids, etc. There, at every stage, at every milestone we reach, there's a new expectation that arises, and that in itself kind of dims down our freedom to live and our freedom to explore who we actually are and why we're doing things that we're told to do. Why do we have these certain behaviors, these certain actions? And we never question what it would be like if we didn't have to meet any expectations, if we didn't have to validate ourselves that we're a good citizen or we're a good person in society. Not that you're not a good human being. I'm not talking in the sense of morality, or I'm indicating here about the expectations that society sets, and because of those expectations, the reason why we want to meet those expectations, the reason why we tend to meet those expectations is because we want to seem as a good human being, because we want to ensure that we have ourselves open to society and that we're a good member of society. Back in the ancient civilization, or back in when there was tribes, within those tribes, there was a social structure that enabled safety, that enabled comfort, that enabled support. And because of that societal structure, that tribal structure, we were able to survive for longer periods of time and years. And as soon as we went into the wild, leaving that social structure, leaving that support system, as soon as we decided to journey on our own, we were more closer to death as in the wild as an animal is usually when they leave their tribe. So there was a certain risk attached to not being able to wander, not being able to go into an unknown kind of field, an unknown territory. And that lack of risk taking, that lack of that constant seeking comfort in our social structure that society has for us, it's been ingrained into us since tribal times, and hence we never, it's almost in like our DNA that we never want to explore and we never want to not meet expectations and see how that is like, see how life is like without compromise. And because the more expectations you meet, the more compromise you have with your own life, with how you want to live. And we don't even know how we want to live because we have never been curious about that. We've never been on a journey with ourselves and what life will look like and what life can look like. And this is a simple question. It's like a questioning session. It's a session where you understand why things are the way they are, and whether the opposite, whether the more unknown side is more exciting, it's more thrilling, it's adventurous, whether that side is more creative, where you can explore who you truly are. And there is a certain level of fear going away from your tribe, going away from not meeting expectations of society, whether it's as simple as getting married because of society, whether it's as simple as having a baby because of society. And because our society has evolved, our generations have evolved, we have gotten somewhat closer to understanding what freedom is and what freedom looks like. But we don't go on that path of freedom because we're scared of the consequences of leaving the known and going into the unknown and suffering because of that. And because society has ingrained more fear into us than it has courage, we don't take that action. We simply confine and we compromise day by day. And my simple philosophy, or my simple understanding, or my simple question to you, what would life look like without compromise? How would life be if you had the freedom to think, you had the freedom to make your own decisions, to understand what you really want and why you want it, and What if there was no barrier in you? What if there was no limitation within you? What if you could have everything that you wanted and it was just a mental shift away? It was just giving yourself permission to be who you want to be. And not that society is wrong, not that society is, it is what it is, and it's nothing to kind of stand against or like be a rebellion about. It's nothing to do with that. It's nothing to break society, nothing to do with that. It's simply understanding what your freedom looks like, what freedom actually looks like, whether it's in society or it's not in society. We even know what freedom is. So I would like to leave you with these questions of understanding what life would look like without compromise, whether that's even possible or not. And if it's possible, how would you take action? What would make every thought, how would you be different? What would make you different? Not that you have to be different, but what if life could be different because of your decisions? And there is one hand that you have, which is these expectations that society has set for you that you have to confine and be by so that you're a good citizen of society, you're a good member of society. And then you have that genuine curiosity in you, which it's been dimmed out, which you don't know that exists, and you just need to give yourself that permission to understand yourself and how you want to design your life. Not what society has designed for you that you are comforted by, but what sort of an artist you could be and how creative your life can get. You will only explore, you will only go on this adventure when you understand that everything that society has set for you, all those expectations, all the compromises you make every single day, it's because you don't give yourself permission and you don't trust yourself to be who you want to be. And yes, there are certain there's factors of luck, everything that exists, but it comes down to what makes you happy. It comes down to what makes you, what is happiness to you, what is misery to you, right? It comes down to that. It comes down to how blissful you want to make your life. And yes, this type of stuff is not, I'm not trying to play, or I'm not trying to, this type of concepts and philosophy, they are for a different society that we exist in, and a more sophisticated society, a more privileged society that we are living in at the moment. This type of stuff and content, etc. It's not for like the tier 3 or the poverty-driven society. It's not for when survival needs are met, when you have survival needs met. All of this knowledge, all of this understanding comes after that. As long as survival needs are not met, this type of stuff will not matter. This type of stuff, yeah, nothing matters. It's just that you need to meet your survival needs, and that's all you have to do, right? That's your main thing in life. And there are some societies in this world that are privileged to not be in that position, and those societies are also complex. Like every sort of kind of every sector of society that we live in, everything has its complexities, everyone has their own struggles, but this type of mind, understanding the mind, understanding who you are, this comes after survival. So understanding and living a life of compromise is something that we all do consciously or unconsciously. We all do it, but it's that simple shift that when will it be enough? When will it be all good to be yourself and to do what you want to do? When will it be okay? And the answer is now.